Patch 12.16 is upon us, with some nerfs, some buffs, and some other changes too, including the reworked Udyr, so let's have a look at them all. Starting with nerfs, we have Draven, where we see him losing 5 base damage at all ranks from his spinning axes. This will be felt a bit more early game, slightly reducing his kill pressure, but he'll still be bringing a ton of damage. Next, we have Poppy, who's getting nerfs directly for her jungling. Her Q will now be capped, doing less damage to monsters. This is a large nerf early game, but will be felt less as the game goes on, but may significantly reduce her clear speed. Next, we have some very welcome changes to Yuumi, with her E losing a lot of late game scaling. Instead of the movement speed scaling at 6%, it's now 2% per 100 AP, and late game it will have a longer cooldown, significantly reducing how effective she is in the late game. And the final nerf goes to Zeri, who's losing both AD and AP scaling on both her Q and W. The base damage is staying the same, however, so these nerfs will be felt more into the mid and late game. Before getting into buffs, we've got Diana, who's being readjusted, mainly targeting her tank builds. We're seeing a flat damage decrease on the passive, but an AP scaling increase to her E, to encourage players to buy more AP items. The first buff goes to Caitlyn, who's getting increased AD ratios on her headshot passive, which will help her scale into the late game. Also, her ultimate will now deal increased damage based on crit strike chance, rather than having to build lethality for it to deal good damage. Next, we have Irelia, who's getting 2 more flat magic resist, and her armor per level will now go from 4.2 to 4.7. Small changes, but these will help her to skirmish even better, while she deletes mages in the mid lane. We also have Jace, receiving some love to his melee form. His Q and E are both getting increased flat damage as he levels up. With the even higher base damage, this will make lethality builds even better on him as he scales into the mid and late game. Next, we have Kai'Sa, where we're seeing flat increases to her passive, along with higher AP scaling on both her Q and R. The passive will make her feel slightly better early game, and the Q and R changes do make building AP feel even better as the game goes on. Next, we have Malphite, who in the early game will get his shield up more often, and his W will now get a lower cooldown when leveled up. The W buff is nice enough, but the lower cooldown on the passive should help him survive the super early game. Next, we have a fun one with Tristana. Her Q will now give an additional 15% bonus attack speed at all ranks, which will make her stronger at all points in the game, but especially in her already very strong early game. Next, we have Zoe with a very nice quality of life change to her W, where minions killed by allies will now drop orbs if Zoe is close enough. In addition, her E with the Sleepy Trouble bubble will now deal more damage at all ranks, and the AP ratio scaling has been increased from 40% to 45%. And finally, we have Zyra with a small change, where she is locked out from casting abilities for only 0.15 seconds after casting E, which should make her feel smoother to play. We also have a buff for the item Evenshroud, where the passive will now last for 5 seconds rather than 4, and the enemy hit and nearby enemies will now take 10% damage rather than 9. Most champions do favour Locket, but this definitely makes this a lot more appealing as an aggressive option for engaged supports. Also, the Udyr Rework should be coming out this patch. He's getting 5 new summoner icons which come with the Spirit Guard Udyr skin, which you get automatically if you buy it, but if you already own the skin, you can pick them up for 5 retail points. Information on Udyr's rundown, bio, trailer and theme can all be found down below. We also have some balancing changes for ARAM, with a ton of champions and a ton of items being changed. Fizz gets a visual rework, as well as new skins for Nasus, Janna, Camille and Lucian.